Okay. Apologize for the delay, the late start. So we're holding today's Amud Daf Yud Amud Aleph. I think it's the first time we're having a real Amud of Agadta. Gadta goes on for a couple of Amudim. But
you learn quicker or slower?
We'll see. I'm not sure. Okay. Fine. We can read it quick. I don't know if it ends up being quick. Okay, the Gemara is the end of Daf Tes Amud Beis. The last line. Mamish, the beginning of the last line of Tes Amud Beis. So the Mishnah said that the Sheish Ari Mikla, the 6 Ari Mikla, 3 in Chutz La'aretz and 3 in Eretz Yisrael. So the obvious question is, how can you have 3 in Chutz La'aretz and 3 in Eretz Yisrael? We know that who was in Chutz La'aretz? It was Reuven, Gad, Chatzi, Sheva, Menashe, 2.5 Shvatim. And Eretz Yisrael was the rest of the 10.5 Shvatim. So why do you need the same amount of Ari Miklot in Chutz La'aretz as in Eva Yarn? So that's the most kasha. Tlas B'Eretz, sorry, just actually the second to last line, the last 2 words of the second to last line. Eva Yarden Tlas B'Eretz Yisrael Tlas. You have 3 in Eva Yarden, 3 in Eretz Yisrael. Bitmia doesn't make right, as Rashi says. Disproportionate, exactly. Abai said the Gilot Shchichi Roitzchem. In Gilad, in other words, in Chutz La'aretz, in the Eva Yarden, there was a lot of Roitzchem. There was a lot of Roitzchem. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu knew that there was going to be a lot of Reitzkim, so therefore he said that you need to have 3, you need to have it proportionate. You need to have it disproportionate. You know, you need to have 3 in Chutz La'aretz and 3 in Eretz Yisrael. The Chesiv, it says in Pasuk, even Zeraya, that there was a lot of Reitzkim in Gilad. The Pasuk says, Gilad, Kiryas, Poele Oven. Gilad is the city. Poele Oven, those people who do have Eris, Akuva Meidam. Akuva midam, some translates dripping from blood. The Gemara asks, Maya akuva midam. What taka does it mean, akuva midam? So he explains, Amr Rabbi Lazar show you oikvin larg nefashos. Oikvin means they would ambush to kill people. So the obvious question is that with Ari Mikla, it's for shoygeg. What do Shainim ask? Yeah, Ari Mikla is for shoygeg. So what do you mean, Gilos Shchichi Reitzchem? You bring me a pass of the Gilos Shchichi Reitzchem. That's Reitzchem amazes, as the Gemara explains. So you oikvin larg nefashos. So why do you need more things? There's a number of approaches in Rishonim. I think Ramban al-Torah says that there was more. The Reitzchem b'meiz also ran to the Ari Miklat. So like we say, so they needed bigger Ari Miklat. Alternatively, Tosfos over here and other Rishonim say, based on the Gemara later, that someone who was killed b'shoigeg but didn't go to Galus, or the Eibishter would arrange that. Yeah, but the Gemara, it's from Gemara Makkos, Daf Yud Amud Beis, that when you kill b'mezid without Adam, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu Zamel L'Fudin Echad. And the Eibishter would orchestrate that someone who kills b'shoigeg should, in other words, so if there's lots of people killing b'mezid, so then there needs to be people who kill them b'shoigeg, so that they can get killed b'mezid without Adam. There's other mefarshim as well. There's other explanations. Like upon him, that's a question that needs to be addressed. Yeah, Gilish Chichi Reitzim. So, read the Gemara now. A similar question about proportions and disproportionate. We said earlier that the cities were equally distant. The problem is, if they're equally distant, it comes out that they were equally distant means there was a quarter of the land between the border and the northern city of Ari Miklat, and a quarter, and so on and so forth. So someone who murders by the border has to run a quarter has to go a quarter of the distance of Eretz Yisrael. Someone who kills in the middle, the maximum you're going to have to run is an 8 because you're between 2 cities. So it's disproportionate, right? So that's what the Gemara asks now. Why is it the case that on the border there's a quarter of the land till you get to the Ari Mikla, but if you live in the middle of Eretz Yisrael, so there's only going to be an 1/8 maximum that you're going to have to go because there's a quarter of the land between one Ari Mikla and another. Yeah, so the Gemara answers, in other words, in the center of Eretz Yisrael, by Shechem area, there was also a lot of Reitzkim. The says in the Pasuk, Okechache ish, is that you read it? Okechache ish gedudim chave kohenim derech yiratz kul shechem. Simple translation is like a band of gedudim, groups of like an army people. Chaver kohenim, a group of kohenim derech yiratz kul shechem. They would murder on the way. Derech yiratz kul shechem. They would murder on the way. Shechma, the question is what does Shechma mean? So I think the Pasha Pshat in the Pasha just means that together, they would join together. Shechem Echad. So the Gemara over here is explaining it to mean that in the way to Shechem they would murder. So the Gemara asks, "My Chaver Koinim? What does it mean Chaver Koinim?" The Gemara understands that it wasn't the Koinim who were the murderers. So why is the pasuk comparing the murderers to chaver kohanim? It's as if it says kechaver kohanim. The murderers were like a group of kohanim. So what's the connection between a group of kohanim and the murderers? They would join together to kill people. Like they would join together. It wasn't just a one-man job. They would join together. And Mefarshim explained that it's because they didn't want to get in trouble. So it's like shnaim shaso. If a whole bunch of people kill together, so can't pinpoint it or whatever, you're not going to be chayiv the same way. Akopanim, that's what they used to do. They used to join together to kill people. It's just like the kohanim who would join together to split the trumas in the beis hagranis, in the place where they're gathering the wheat. So that's what the Gemara. So let's quickly see Rashi. Rashi at the bottom of the Amud of Tassim was Beiva Yarden class with me. I'll be nachal shnei shvatim shalosh. Moi be nachal sasar shvatim. By the two shvatim, you have just as many cities as where the 10 shvatim. If the Gemara is Begillah she Beiva Yarden shchichi roitzchim oikvin oirvin, they would be ambush. The high geese the merchaki. Chevron mekadesh rechaikis migvulei aretz. Chevron mekadesh kadesh in the north and Chevron in the south. We're far from the gvulei aretz. You have to be go. It's Revia Aretz or Revia Haaretz, a quarter of the land. Someone who kills it by mamish by the border of Eretz Yisrael would have to run a quarter of the length of Eretz Yisrael to get to our near Miklat. Or Ma'ishlom Mitziyoy the Mikarvi Ahorig ben Chevron the Shem V'Shem the Kaddish Karv the Mikam is closer. You wouldn't have to walk more than an eighth. So the Gemara basically asks that the answers in the center of Eretz Yisrael Shchichi, right? You're gonna have to explain the same thing as earlier.
Line in the center? Or a line in the center?
In the center, you mean of the width of Eretz Yisrael? I'm not sure exactly.
What's the shaila?
The shaila over here is that you have Eretz Yisrael, and you have the border of Eretz Yisrael. You have one city here, another city here, another city here, and here's the border. Equal, yeah, that's what the Gemara said with Haftas on the base. Equal chelik from here to here to here to here to here to here, right? The problem is that sounds not good on paper, but the might, if someone kills over here, he has to walk a whole quarter of the land. If someone kills in the middle over here, the maximum will be an eighth. So the Gemara basically says in Shechem, on this area over here, I guess, and around, it's Shchichi Reitz. There's a lot of Reitz. Okay. You're gonna have to explain the same. You're gonna have to explain the same beers earlier that there was hurt. You're gonna have to get around the problem with them and Bemezid and Golas is B'Shoigig, the same way that we dealt with the question earlier. So now the Gemara asks. The Gemara continues.
Also, it's not fair for people because more rich doesn't mean it's more.
More what?
More accessible.
If there's more rights, can be B'Shoigig, so there should be. If there's more rights, can be Bemezid, then you're right. But the Gemara's explanation is somehow that if there's more rights, can be Bemezid, there's also going to be more rights, can be B'Shoigig, or whatever.
Yeah. It's more accessible to certain crowds, more other.
I hear what you're saying. Chora, you just need more. Yeah.
You need more beds.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. We're saying you need more Ari Mikla in the area. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's not to do with getting there necessarily. It's to do with you need more Ari Mikla in the middle. Okay. It's a good point. The point isn't that they should have easy access, but rather there's a need for more Ari Mikla. They'll get fuller quicker, right? So you need more. More options, I heard that Shechem, the Harig B'Shoigig, tells the other Harig B'Shoigig, I heard Shechem is full, let's go to Chevron, yeah? Something like that. Okay. So now the Gemara asks a kasha. The Mishnah says there was 6 Ari Miklat. Why does the Mishnah say the 6 Ari Miklat? We know the pasuk says Aleim Titnu Arbaim Shtayim. Besides for the 6, there's 42 cities of the Levium, which also served as Ari Miklat. Abai says yes, you're right, but there's a distinction between the two types of Ari Miklat. Halolu Koltus Bein Adas Bein Shaloi Ladas. Goy Sabach says Halolu. Meaning, he just explains. Halolu called is Bein Ladas Ben Shalei Das, meaning the 6 cities mentioned in the Mishnah are koilet whether the Harig B'Shoigig knows that he's in an air miklat, had an intention to go to Ari Miklat, whether he didn't. Halolu, but the extra 42 cities, Ladas Koltus, Shalei Ladas Koltus, Einun Koltus. They only a koilet. There's a different level of how much they koilet, how much they protect. They only protect for the Harig B'Shoigig if he knows that he's in an Ari Miklat. The Gemara later says other difference between the 6 cities and the 42 cities, but Kapanim, this is what the Gemara is saying over here, huh?
That explains why you need more in the center.
Why?
Because the other in the surrounding area is some area of Levium. People still have places to go, but if you have like a high concentration of Rescom, if they just happen to walk into the city, they're safe.
Yeah. Hey. Says the Gemara Vayt. The Chevron Ir Miklat, to another kasha of the Mishnah. Mishnah established that Chevron is, well, not the Mishnah, the Brisa said that Chevron is one of the Ari Miklat, right? The Brisa at the bottom of Testament days. How can you say such a thing? Says in Pasuk that Chevron was given over to Kalev Kasha Div Moshe.
Kalev wasn't a lady.
Kalev wasn't a Levi, and Kalev, and anyway, we're talking about the six. Chevron was one of the six, right? The six were Ari Mikdav. That's what the role was. No one else. It wasn't for anyone else. I don't know. I'm just thinking now. I'm not sure exactly what the steer is, because Ari Mikdav, other people we're soon going to see that they needed people living around there. It's not as if no one else. Is it pshat that these six cities no one else lived there besides for the Reitzch Mishayge? How do you know that Ari Mikdav wasn't there now? Can't be.
I think so, no?
Because Rashi was there.
They weren't all Levium?
No, Aleim Titnu. I think the 42 cities were in. Okay, fine. Okay, well, let's see the Gemara. The Gemara, it could be. When we say that Kalev was given Chevron, it doesn't actually mean Chevron. It means the surrounding areas of Chevron, the suburbs, so to speak, of Chevron. It's a pasuk in Parasha in Yeshua. In Dvarim it says, "Ki lekalev nosati es Chevron." Yeah, but like we see in Yeshua says that steo evas chatzir nos l'chalev. In other words, we see that when they actually gave Kalev, they gave the steo air, the field of the city, and chatzira. I mean, the suburbs, the surrounding areas, was given to Kalev. The Kalev ben Yifunim. Okay, so it's not a kasha. Chevron itself was an Ir Miklat, and the suburbs were given to Kalev, and that's taka pshat that Kalev was given to Chevron. It's interesting. Taka is bringing a raya from the pasuk also in Shoftim. Okay. And then be miyasha by saying that in Yeshua Taka says stay eves chatzira. Okay. Says the Gemara, asks another kasha. The Kaddish Ir Miklat Hava, right? Going back to the Bryson of Testament base, we said that Kaddish was one of the Ir Miklat. Yeah, that was the Ir Miklat in the north. How can you say Kaddish is an Ir Miklat? It says in pasuk Va'ari Mivsar. So this is a pasuk in Yeshua. Va'ari Mivsar Hatzidim Tsar Tzer V'chamas Rakas V'chinares. And then it continues Va'adoma V'chama V'chotza It's interesting here. He says V'kadosh V'drei V'ein Chotza. So the Gemara understands that this is talking about Kaddish, even as though it's vowelized Kaddish. Akopanim, that's the Gemara's kasha. Yeah? How can you say that Kaddish is an Ir Miklat? What's the kasha? It says in the passage, Va'ori Mivsa, the houses of these strong cities, the houses of storage, these strong cities, with Sidim Tsar, V'chames, V'rakes, V'chinares, Kaddish V'drei V'ein Chotza. Kaddish was one of them. So what's the problem? Why can't that be an Ir Miklat? So the Gemara continues this kasha. V'tanya, we learned in the Bryce, Arim Halalu, the Ari Miklat ain't oisnation loy tirin kitanim v'loy krachim denim ela yoris beininus. One of the Ari Miklat are not allowed to be big cities nor smaller cities. They have to be average sized cities. And Rashi explains why, and we'll soon see. So, but the Akopanim, we have a kasha that over here we're saying that Kadesh is one of the Ari Miklat, and the pasuk in Yeshua says that Kadesh was a big city, a powerful, like a strong city, a big city, and we know that Ari Miklat can't be a big city. So my answer, Rabbi Yosef, Tarti Kadesh Ava. Rabbi Yosef Tak says there was two types. There was two Kadishes, two totally different cities with the same name. Amar Rashi is a different chat. You're going Slikum Akrodis Slikum. You have, trying to think, you have certain places like that, where you have Mexico City, or whatever, but it's a bad example. But you have the big city, and then you have a smaller city which has the same name. So the same thing over here. You have Kadesh, which was a big city, and then there was a medium-sized city nearby Kadesh, which also had the name Kaddish. You're going Slikum Akrodis Slikum, like Slikum and the Akrodis Slikum, which is the village nearby, which is called on the name of the big city. Let's see Rashi. Rashi's going back to Bein Ladas, Bein Shlomi Das. Yeah, Bein Shabarch Sham Ladas Klita, Bein Shloy Barch Sham Ladas Klita, Shloy Yudei Shiklat. Regardless of why is there. It's koilet. Parvada kfarim v'chatzerim asmuchas lavanikus hashma nasnu lekale. It's called Chevron. The Ari mivse krachim delim shayu v'nechas naftali. Hatzidim tzar v'goyim. Arim halalu. These are cities. Ari miklat. Tirin ketanim. You can't make small cities. Why can't an Ari miklat be a small city? Rashi explains there isn't enough food coming there, and you need to make sure that the harig v'shayig has all his needs. You can't go out, right? Other people can go. They can go to Klein to get their stuff, even if they live in the middle of nowhere. But the Ari B'Shai doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to get killed by the God Adam. So he needs to have everything he needs there. So can't be a small city. It can't be a small little place where there's a truck which comes once a week to give food, right? So it can't be a very big city. It can't be like a big city which everyone comes often, because then the likelihood is that the Goyal Adam is going to be there. It's like a big metropolis, a big city. So then the Goy Adam is likely to be that we don't want, and he's going to find a way of killing the Harig B'Shagi. So going to Slikum Ir Mivsa v'Yashkar Samach and Ikra Krodis Slikum Kach Kaddish Ir Mivsa. Kaddish was a big city. The Ir Beinis is an average sized city. Smuchel Hanikras Hashmo, which was called by its name. Okay, so Vaita Gufa. Now we're going to discuss this brisa and elaborate, quote the rest of the brisa. The brisa which says you only make an Ir Miklat, an average sized city. So the brisa continues with other conditions about an Ir Miklat. What an Ir Miklat needs to have. Gufa Arim Alol Einos Nisan Leiterim Ktam Leikrachim Doilim Ella Ayaris Beinanias has to be an average sized city. Ve'im Shiv Nisan Ela B'Makam Mayim has to be water there. You bring water if there's no water. You only make an Ir Miklat in places where there is a marketplace. The Ir Miklat also has to be there's people living around there. Meaning around, not mamish in the city. Surrounding the city, there's many people. Rashi's going to explain why. If there's not so many, the population goes down, you take add people. Right? The Ochlusin actually means the villages which are nearby. If you have villages, but there isn't people living there, so then you bring Kleinim Nevim Yisraelim, and Rashi explains, others explain, it means you bring Muyuchasim. Interestingly enough, it seems that Dafka the Muyuchasim had the midas rachmanim by shanim b'yom nechasadim that you didn't have, and therefore they would protect the harig b'shogi from the goy ladam. So that you don't sell in the Ir Miklat klezayin arms or things to trap, to hunt with, because those could be used by the goy ladam to kill the harig b'shogi. So we do whatever we can to protect. Divrim nechemia, v'cham matirin, chacham allow it. Not sure exactly why what's as far as machlekes where Chacham say it's okay. The Shav and everyone agrees any person sechem mesudas ve'ein mafshin mesechem chavalim kidei shlo yitregel goy adam mitzvah. Everyone agrees you don't lay out mitzudas nets. Ve'ein moichrim ve'ein mafshin mesechem chavalim. You don't have ropes there. Kidei shlo yitregel goy adam mitzvah. What's the chavalim for the fish? I'm not sure. These were things which attracted people to come to the city. I can't remember why now. Okay, that's the brisa, and now we say it's another. It says that you should run to one of these cities and live. I guess the word v'choy is extra. Obviously, he's gonna. You're saying that he's running away from the guy, protecting from the Goy Ladam. So what's up with v'chai? He's going to live there. So the Gemara says, you have to arrange that he has a parnos over there. We're going to give other pshatim soon. But here, I think it just means a physical, sustenance. Now he continues to say, a Talmud who kills B'shoigeg, the Rebbe goes with him to teach Torah. Now there's someone who's like a Talmud and he's busy learning in yeshiva, he's busy learning with his Rebbe. You take the Rebbe with him to teach him Torah. If a Talmud Chacham without Torah, famous words of the Rambam over here, someone who's about Chachma who doesn't have Chachma is like that. So you need to give him his chayas, which is to have his Rebbe that teach him Torah. Rav Zira said, from here we learn that a person shouldn't teach Torah to Talmud Sheina Hagun. You teach a Torah to Talmud Sheina Hagun, so he's going to kill B'shoigeg. Seems that even, we know, this for sure, but even Nigla, that someone who kills B'shoigeg is not stam. It's you kill B'shoigeg because there's ra in you, or because you have other averos which cause you to be shaykh to killing B'shoigeg. That Chatoim B'shoigeg also come from the Klippa, like someone who's a tzaddik doesn't. Arizal says that someone who's nizan chametz Pesach muftach lo shelo yechta kol hashana, right? That doesn't mean b'meiz we take away his bechira. It means that he doesn't kill b'shoigeg. Because all over Chassidus it talks about that someone who kills b'shoigeg is not killed. So that avera b'shoigeg comes from nefesh habahamis and skabras haklippa.
Oh, so I mean, probably going to become more careful.
Right. Shoigeg also is an element. Yeah, I'll be pshat as well. Shoigeg. Yeah, shoigeg has an element of negligence.
Kill a guy b'shoigeg. Kill a guy b'shoigeg.
A guy?
Yeah.
What do you mean? He's chayiv, yeah.
Chayiv.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Shlei shana adam tam sheina hagen. Whatever. There's a culpability. It's not an onus. Even a guy who's an onus doesn't get killed. Yeah, it's only shoigeg. Okay. Rashi. Let's stop over and do Rashi. We're up to ve'im ein shamayim shenaflu begoyro b'mei Yisroel l'vim havil lem amitz mayim acher came in an haretz rechaykim. They made sure there was water. The makom shvakim shimts mezainis likness, so that people can find food to buy. But makom ochlas shu kfarim yishuv smuchim. You need to have population. You need to have a populated city, and the kfarim and the suburbs should also be full of should be people living there. Shouldn't, because otherwise the goyel adam could capture the city and yeah. I guess, yeah, together, they're gang up together. Ochas means population in general. I think it means that there should be cities around. That's how Rashi explains. There should be, the literal translation of Ochas, I think, is population. Is like, yeah. But Rashi explains means that there should be villages. Klei Zayin, Shlein, Negoel Adam, Shom Zayin, V'Yari. Shim Yavi Klei Zayin, V'Mkaim Yagishuba. Rashi is bothered by the kasha, that the Chora, what do you mean? If he wants to, yeah. Gun control, yeah. Someone wants to come with a gun, he'll find a way of getting a gun. So so you don't sell the gun in the city. He says that if the guy comes from a gun from where he's coming from, you'll sense it. But Mashenki, you don't need to mamish provide him with it. You know, that's so he'll come in with a gun, you'll see. But if he comes in the city and buys one, then he's going to be easier to kill. Or klimat suda, afbohem horgin chayas. Okay, my kodem to meant type. You know the rights can dovish it tzrichenoi. The Talmud shein hagen shaloi. What's the pasuk? The mini tavelei chayusa. V'chai. The Talmud shein hagen shaloi vi avinoi savli de'ariga b'shoigig v'yigla. Oh, the mean kamon shein motz ala b'shan. Mamish is makkah. I'm on base. You can see. Yeah, shaloi vi avinoi savli de'ariga b'shoigig v'yigla. The mean kamon shein motz ala b'shan. Ariga b'shoigig is only motz b'shan. And these averis are going to bring him to. So therefore, you don't teach Talmud shein hagen. You're going to get in trouble. You're going to end up in Galus. Okay, weiter in the Gemara. Time. Yeah. Right in the Gemara. The other way around. What happens if the Rav is Goyla? The Gemara, by the way, the Mefarshim asked, and I can't remember the answer. I saw that they asked the Lechora here too. You can Lechora mikan shelo yeshana adam mei rabbi she'ena hagon. Yeah, you shouldn't learn from a rabbi who's eina hagon, because then you're gonna end up in Galus. But that's a Gemara said Rav shegol megali shivasi emay. So Gemara Anna asks the kasha eini. We're saying over here that a Rav shegol kasha is that why does he need Galus bichlal? The Gemara over here understands that the whole purpose of Galus is to protect from the goyel adam. So why does he need Galus? Torah is koila. Yeah, how do we know that the divrei Torah protect? Shenem, it says in Pasuk, it talks about this Ari Meklav. So the Gemara answers like kasha. The Torah is only koila at the time when you learn Torah. He needs something to be koila him when he's not learning. So that's why he needs the Ari Meklav. It's not good enough that he's Isaac in Torah Bichlal, because sometimes he stops learning. Others say, no, you understood. You're asking a kasha based on the understanding the Brayse, the Divrei Torah and Kol, the Divrei Torah koilet from the Goyel Adam, protect from the Goyel Adam. That's not pshat. Pshat stamazai, nothing to do with the Hari B'Shaygin. It's koilet from the Malach HaMavis, like the famous story called Rav Chista V'Yaseh V'Garis B'Bei Rav. Rav Chista was sitting and learning the Shiva Rav Leva Kiyocha Shlicha the Malach HaMavis. So the Shliach of the Malach HaMavis couldn't, the Mikriv Lagabi couldn't kill him. Why did Leva Shasa put him in He wasn't stopping from learning. Solik V'Yaseh V'Arza the Bei Rav Poka Arza V'Shasa V'Yachal. He stopped and he sat on a piece of cedar wood and in yeshiva over there, and the cedar wood cracked open. He stopped learning for a moment. Avayacha and the Malach HaMavis killed him. So here too, Mefarshim, the famous story in Gemara Shabbos, Dovid HaMelech. The way he died was also in such a situation. The Gemara is mechalik over there. Dovid HaMelech knew that he was going to die. If you know you're going to die and you learn, so then maybe that's when it protects. But stamazah, that Torah can always protect. That when the person's learning Torah, he's protected from the Malach HaMavis. That we learn from Rav Chista. Amr of Tanchum bar Chaniloi. Rav Tanchum bar Chaniloi asked him, there's a kasha over there. When the Gemara says that, not the Gemara, when the Pesukim say the cities, it goes from north to south. It talks about the cities in Eretz Yisrael, it goes from north to south. When it talks about the cities in Chutz La'aretz, it goes the opposite direction. Let's say about Midbar is first. I have to see the pasuk. Let's see one second. Yeah, it starts the other way around. Which he starts with a city which is in the Nachal of Reuven first. So something's going on. Why doesn't either have the same say the north to south or south to north? What are you doing? Why are you changing when it comes to Chutz La'aretz? You see, yeah. So the answer is it's to do with Reuven. It's a city which is in Reuven's Nachla, and Reuven was zoicha the Ir Mikla in his Nachla should be listed first. Why? So the Gemara says, he started. He was the first one to start off the saving Yosef. Ultimately, Yehuda also did. It took to take him out of the bar, but Reuven wanted to, right? Reuven told Shimon and Levi, don't kill him, throw him into the bar, and he had the intention to save him. So since he was Isaac in Hatzalah, therefore the Hatzalah of the Eir Mikla came to him first. Darish Rabbi Simloi Ma'idek on a similar note. So the Gemara is dealing with the question why it decides to talk about the east, the weather, Ari Mikla, with the terminology Mizrach HaShamesh, the east, Shamesh, where the sun rises. So Amalek HaKadosh Baruch Hu is two pshatim. Amalek HaKadosh Baruch Hu Moshe HaKadosh Baruch Hu uses this language, or the Torah uses this language to communicate to us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was telling to Moshe, Hazrach Shamesh l'roitzchem. The sun should shine for the roitzchem. In other words, when you make the Ari Mikla, make sure they have everything they need. Like rise the sun for them, give them what they need. Another pshat is not talking about giving them all the needs, but rather HaKadosh Baruch Hu was congratulating him on separating these cities by telling him just the atom fact that there's these cities is a protection for the Reitzchem, and the sun has risen, so to speak, for the Reitzchem, and now they're safe. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving credit. Let's see Rashi, a few small Rashis. The pasuk talks about his Eir Mikla. First, to give them the parnasa, whether it's parnasa, whether it's the Rebbe, physical sustenance, spiritual sustenance. His rach shemesh reitz. Another pshat means b'avdala zu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling him that you did a good job. The yofa sisa. Yeah. Okay. Weiter. Now these gemaras, I don't think anything to do with the. No, this one is. This one is still to do with the Ari Mikla. There's a pasuk which says Oyev Kesef Lo Yispa Kesef. Pasuk pshat is we all know someone who likes money is never enough, right? The more you get, the more you want. But the Gemara over here is Doyesh it not on Kesef Kipshotoi, but on mitzvahs. On mi Oyev B'Hamoin Lo Tvua. Someone who likes a lot of B'Hamoin Lo Tvua doesn't have any Tvua. We're going to go to the end of the passage first. But Oyev Kesef Lo Yis soon. Oyev Kesef Lo Yispa Kesef. Then Moshe Rabbeinu Sheyidei Shein Shal Sham should be Avi Aaron Kol Tzachel Nim Chushal Beres Kana. Moshe Rabbeinu knew there wasn't really any purpose in him, right? Like the Mishnah, said Ad Lo Yishal Aaron should be Avi Aaron Kol Tzachel until Ad Yishosh and Kol Tzachas, right? Before Moshe Rabbeinu, there's no point in him separating these Ari Mikla. They won't be able to be used anyway till 14 years later, until Yeshua settled the land. Nevertheless, he said, no, I'm doing it anyway. Oyev Kesef is because he couldn't get enough of mitzvahs, right? So he knew he wouldn't be able to use these cities until the three in Eretz Yisrael were set up. But he said, mitzvah which comes to my hand, I'm going to do, even though there isn't necessarily any gain right now. Now the Gemara darshans the rest of the pasuk. Mi oyev ba'am loy tevua. So here the Gemara reads as if it says loy tevua with a vav. Or mi oyev ba'am loy tevua. Someone who likes to teach barabim. Loy tevua. Rashi, the Gemara explains. Mi noel lamid ba'hamoin. Misha kol tevur shloi. Who is the right person to teach or give a shiur barabim? Misha kol tevur shloi. Someone who knows his stuff. Yeah, he kol tevur shloi. Rashi, you can see Rashi soon. It wasn't mean in pasuk that mi ma'alig verse Hashem yashmiya kol tilasei. That someone who should say the strengths of Hashem yashmiya kol tilasei. He should say everything. So I think pasuk pshat is actually bitmiya. Mi ma'alig verse Hashem yashmiya kol tilasei. Right? We know that it's impossible to say all the praise of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and therefore you have to limit yourself to the praise which the Chazal have been masakin. Here he does very differently. Who is Noel Malak Gvurs Hashem to say the Gvurs Hashem? In other words, to learn to teach people Torah. Misha Yachal Hashmir Kol Klasi, someone who's able to teach everything. In other words, even if you just give, you're giving a shiur on one masechta, should be the person who's giving a shiur should know other stuff as well. Should be a Talmud Chacham. So you wouldn't zoicha. So the Gemara continues. Rabbanan v'iteim Rabbi Mamari. I mean, mi oyev b'hamayin loy tavua. Kala oyev b'hamayin loy tavua. It's a different pshat. Mi oyev b'hamayin loy tavua. That's who that someone who's how does Rashi explain it? Yeah, there's someone who likes Talmidei Chachamim. Someone who oyev b'hamayin he loves Talmidei Chachamim. Loy tavua. He will have Talmidei Chachamim as children. Kala oyev b'hamayin loy tavua. Yavu b'Rabbanan inayu b'Rava b'Rei Rabbi. That's Rashi. Rashi Taka explains. Yeah, that's how Rashi explains it. Yeah. Rashi says children. Born in Rabbanan. No, that's Rashi. Yeah. Someone who likes Talmidei Chacham will have children of Talmidei Chacham. Yeah. That's the person who's right to be Darish Bram. Rabbanan beat him. He'll have tavua, meaning he'll become a Talmid Chacham, and his children will. I mean, about Alma, like Vitaka says, the Gemara says in Shabbos, "Hayman derochim Rabbanan," someone who has who loves, has Rachmanas, who has, loves the Rabbanan. Having leiban and Rabbanan will have children who are also Talmid Chacham. Yav Rabbanan inai berabish hayoyev Talmid Chacham b'yoyse. He was a big oyev Talmid Chacham, v'hoyu leibanim Talmid Chacham. His children turned out to be Talmid Chacham. Okay. Also, yeah, it's true. He was. But I think the point is that not only also his children, like tavua is like produce, payros. Ravashi al Makol Oyev Lomad Bahamin Loy Tavua. That Rashi is a different pshat. Kol Oyev Lomad Bahamin Loy Tavua means that you not lelamed, lilmoid. To learn barab, you don't learn by yourself, right? Behind Omri Yisroel might is Cherev el Abadim v'Noyeloi. Cherev, the sword el Abadim to those who are alone v'Noyeloi. So the Gemara explains it to me. Cherev al Savori Seinem Shel Talmidei Chachamim. Doesn't mean say name, it's a euphemism. It said that the sword is on those Talmidei Chachamim who sit and learn by themselves, because you need to learn b'chabura. Otherwise, you're just by yourself and you might get wrong tracks. Even if you learn by yourself to discuss what you learn with other people, you need to learn b'chabura, because otherwise it's not good. It makes you stupid, right? You don't. Right? How do we know that? What's the Makkos for it? Ksiv Haka says it says here v'noyeloi. Chayav alabadim v'noyeloi. Ksiv Hasam Hashanuyalnu. It says somewhere else Hashanuyalnu, and over there it's clear it's talking about foolishness. Foolishness. The passage continues by saying Vashachatan. Another passage Noyelu Sari Tzoyan. Over there it says Noyelu Sari Tzoyan, and the Hemshcha pasuk is how they were misled. So we see this idea that metapshin, and the word noyelu is used in the context of metapshin, of choitin. We're adding the choitin. Rabbeinu Amar kol ha'oyev l'lamed b'hamen loy tu is a different pshat. Right, so we said a few pshat. We'll go over the pshatim in a minute. Different pshatim, but over here different pshat behind them. Rabbi harbe Torah lamati min rabboisai o mechaveirai yoiser o mehamu talmidei yois mikol. According to this pshat, it's talking about teaching barabim. Someone who teaches learns a lot, right? You learn the most by teaching. You need to prepare. You need to know what's going on. People are going to ask you questions. So mitalmida yoitz mikol, that's pshat. So how many pshatim do we have? One pshat was that someone who's oyev ba'amim means someone who teaches should be somebody who knows Mikra, Mishnah, etc. Another pshat is that Kala Oyev Bahamid, someone who likes the Talmidei Chachamim, is loy tavu, he'll have children of Talmidei Chachamim, and learning barabim and teaching barabim, meaning not learning by yourself, and also someone who teaches, he also is loy tavu, he ends up becoming smarter. Amir Shulban Levi, what's the meaning of the passage when it says? Since we're learning about learning Torah, I think this is the connection. Rishon Levi says, why this is, what's the meaning? It says, our feet were standing by the gates of Yerushalayim. Our feet were standing means to say our feet were standing in Gashmistic, in warfare. Shari Yerushalayim, the fact that we were by the gates of Yerushalayim, that we were learning Torah. In other words, the Torah protects you and helps the war. Like we know, soldiers, the Rebbe. Why Bachram shouldn't go to the army, or why there's a need for Bachram to learn Torah, because the success of the war is dependent on there being at least some people who are involved in it. Like what's Pshat when it says Shamalis the Dovid Samachti Ba'imruni Beis Hashem Neil. Ahmed David's not Kadosh Baruch Hu. Ribono Shel Olam. Shamati. So David HaMelech knew basically the Beis Hamikdash wasn't going to be built in his day, and evidently other people knew that as well. Kadosh Baruch Hu told David that you're not going to be Zoich the Beis Hamikdash is going to be built. It's going to be Shlomi your son. So he says, Shamati b'nei Adam sheyayim masa yom zakin zeh v'yavi Shlomi b'nei v'yivne Beis Abchir v'na'ala l'rega. Yeah. So David HaMelech saying, Samachti, I was sameach ba'oimrim li Beis Hashem neilech. I was happy when people said to me, in other words, even though people were saying, when are you going to die? And Shlomo is going to come and build a Beis Hamikdash and be oil l'rega. But Samachti ba'oimrim li Beis Hashem neilech. I was happy when I heard people tell me, Beis Hashem neilech will go to the Beis Hamikdash to offer karbanis after your passing. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to him, no. Amalei HaKadosh Baruch Hu responded to him that no. Ki toiv yoim, it's not in the same capital, but the Gemara understands that this was the response. Amalei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ki toiv yoim b'chatzerecha mi'elef. No. Ki toiv yoim b'chatzerecha mi'elef. One day in your chatzar is better than 1,000. 1,000 what? So the Gemara explains, toiv yoim echas at oiz b'tayr l'fani mi'elef oilish also shleim bin chalakis nagam is back. So you see the mile of limit Torah. Because we're saying one day of you learning Torah, David HaMelech is better before me than the 1,000 oilos which Shlomo is going to be makar and gamizbech. It's not taka pasuk which says, okay, we'll see in Rashi already. Rashi says, Rav Ashi Amid Rav Ashi Kosina Lilmud Rabbinu Kosina Lamed, because we're talking about teaching Torah. Lilmud B'haminu Chaverim Rabbim Noy Lutzari Soy, and the pasuk continues Nisu Sari Noy. They were misled. They ended up doing averis. So we see the word noelu is used in the context of chet. Alma hanoel nasalachte. The person who's noel, who's stupid, who ends up sinning. The lama b'hamin marbet tamid. Someone has a lot of tamidim. So stand not just to teach. I mean, tamid yosim just doesn't just mean to teach the good thing, but the more tamidim you have, the more you learn. So to teach the bigger the shiur, the better is for the Rebbe's own hatzlacha in them. Meaning because of the learning that you do in the gates of the Torah. The Aleph Oilis Mikra Kosa Taka Pasuk Aleph Oilis Yad Shleima and Lachim that Shleima Taka ended up. And there's one day when he Taka offered up 1,000 Oilis. Okay, so we'll stop over here. And Be'ez Hashem Wednesday we have another nice long Amud of Agata. Slightly different, but yeah. Okay.